What an ultimate indulgence. Snowstorm with temperatures dropping to minus 40 degrees Celsius outside. Luxury aerial shelter built by men. The temperature inside was a whopping 30 degrees Celsius. Even what they ate was delicious tomato pizza. It's absolutely amazing. Due to a blizzard at the previous shelter, it became a bottomless swimming pool. The netizens in the comments section actually guessed correctly. After summarizing the lessons learned from this failure, Ross plans to build the shelter high in the sky. This will prevent being hit by a blizzard. Another hole in the wall. Like this type of flat-lying corset, must communicate when he sees something. These are all ideal building materials for building log cabins. Combine them all into the required size. With the experience of building it before, this time, all the logs used were over 10 years old. Only shelters built in this way can provide a sense of security. Basic building materials are ready. Next is the excavator pit. He found a place with excellent feng shui. Grabbing a shovel, I started digging the ground. Fortunately, the lowest soil here is relatively loose. This greatly facilitated his excavation. 6 half-meter deep famine pits were quickly dug. In late autumn, the yellow leaves began to fall. They gently descended from the sky. It has a unique visual appeal. Therefore, he invited his brother-in-law to admire the beautiful scenery. The real purpose was to ask him for help as a side benefit. He first began to assemble the logs. To form a square framework. Place both ends of the log firmly into the chicken coop. To make the framework more robust, several thick logs were added to the bottom. The middle sections are connected together with wooden sticks. Form a stable basic framework. The joint should be reinforced with 10 centimeter nails. Then they found some longer wooden sticks. After rigorous measurement, form to the required size. Make a second layer frame for the top, although it looks a bit rough. But these seem wrong. Well-arranged formations, but it is quite sturdy. Just to be on the safe side. Outer ring. The screw was then secured at an angle with a thin wooden stick. Ensure the entire architecture is rock solid. Thus, the basic bottom frame is completed. Next is the high-altitude work. Then, naturally, a ladder is needed. The wooden ladder he made in no time. This will make climbing up and down much easier. The basic framework has been built. Screws begin to be used to lay the wood flooring. Arrange the logs neatly and uniformly. The floor is fixed by driving steel nails directly in. The master bedroom was designed in the same way. Although it's a bit high, but the sense of security when nestled beside a big tree is undeniable. As autumn deepens, the straight, tall tree has slowly withered. Rose had to speed up his pace. Planned before winter arrives. Complete the shelter robbery. I saw him use the joined logs. Connect the top beams. If the height is not enough, use wooden blocks instead. Until the top is secure and firmly secured. Next, find some relatively thick logs. These will be the materials used to build the shelter. However, the screws did not directly build the wall. Instead, he used the wooden door he had previously ordered. Install in the attic. Then, use the force bar to mark the position of the door frame. Although Ross learned wilderness construction halfway through his career, but the craftsmanship is definitely top-notch. The entire framework for the trip was completed very quickly. He has taken another big step closer to moving into his new home. He immediately said, after purchasing suitable wooden doors, the next step is to build walls for the attic. To make the walls densely covered with ventilation, Screw brought the insulation cotton early in the morning. Each layer of logs is added upwards. Use tampons for effective sealing. This not only provides insulation and heat protection, it can also prevent wind and snow from seeping in. The joint between the measuring rod and the column is fixed with steel nails. A smoke vent was specifically left at the bottom corner of the wall. This will make later setup easier, although the floorboards were made of tightly packed wooden sticks. However, some gaps still need to be treated. Building in the wilderness looks simple. Once I actually started doing it, I realized I had overestimated myself. However, snails. Silk also remembered to reserve space for the window. I tried it based on the size of the entire window. Just the right size. After ensuring there are no problems, Only then did they feel relieved and continue building. Although it is quite difficult for one person to build it, fortunately, the screw was very patient. Amidst the rhythmic tapping sound, the walls on 3.5 sides were completed quickly, whether it's the handling of details or the laying of the top. They were all perfectly controlled by screws. Finally, a layer of waterproof cloth was laid on the outside. After that, it's the wall of the front door. Seeing how diligently the screw was working, I believe I will soon have a warm home. Now all that's needed is to install the windows. This house is now more than half finished, but before that, first, add a layer of insulation cotton round the perimeter. After all, heat insulation of the frame is very important. If you are slightly negligent, he will have a hard time getting through this winter. Finally, install the floor-to-ceiling windows. This completes the entire exterior wall, as the earth was covered with a light layer of white snow. This foreshadows the quiet approach of winter. Ross quickened his pace. He just happened to have some discarded wooden planks. Recycling and reuse. After reorganization, protect the bottom with a transparent protective film. Although it looked quite dirty after being soaked in water, but this does not affect his use. You can then lay the wooden planks generously on the attic to create a clean and flat countertop. Now it feels clean, even without cleaning. As the saying goes, don't let the good stuff go to outsiders. These red brick fireplaces are also... They were all born from the underground shelters built earlier, in order to move in as soon as possible. He specially brought out the new house. Although the bricks are a bit rough, fortunately, it can provide heating. Bring all the bricks up. Everything is ready now, except for the final push. He found this type of fire-resistant gypsum board. Divide it into appropriate sizes. Planning to use a corner with good ventilation from north to south. Create a heated Kong traditional Chinese bed that can keep you warm. Then, according to the planned location, lay on the floor. Although we are at a high altitude, but every detail of the screws is very well done. Fire prevention work is comprehensive. After all the work is done, next came the work of the professional bricklayers. Screw plans to build Peru first. I don't know about screws. I've been watching Wilderness Building for half a year. Did you learn the essential parts? After all, the traditional heated brick bed in northeast China. It is a craft that has been lost for a long time. Once set up, it can provide warmth and protection from the cold. Even the slightest mistake could lead to being crippled. I saw the stove he had built with red bricks. Next, the edges are sealed with a mixture of raw cement. Cover with another layer of furnace wall. Can then continue to extend outwards. After a series of operations, finally, connect it to the smoked onion. The entire heated Kong bed, with underfloor heating, was now set up. Specialized in treating rheumatism and chronic cold back pain. In order to make myself sleep more comfortably, he specially assembled the bed base from logs. Fix it above the heated brick bed. The heat dissipated in this way. A good night's sleep, and you'll feel refreshed. With a comfortable big bed. Of course, a matching dining table is also essential. Although they are all second-hand, it's still quite reliable to use. It wasn't a complete waste. Install the storage rack. The indoor facilities are quite complete. The main gate is still a bit lacking. Turning waste into treasure. He still has quite a lot of experience. Using these discarded wooden boards, completely sealed on the entire door surface, you will get a fairly sturdy security door. Just to be on the safe side, I reinforced the screws with cotton strips. Ensure it fits perfectly, airtight. The gaps also need to be filled with cotton strips. This completes the creation of the interior space, only with the correct installation of the chimney. That way there won't be any risk of lying on the board. A 2-meter-long chimney was made from screws. After correcting it, install it. That's it, all done. Chimney section. Because the previous shelter had been abandoned, it has now become a very deep swimming pool. This will bring great danger. It looks nearly 1.2 meters deep. He had to submerge it with mud. Therefore, He specially invited his brother-in-law to a treacherous banquet. After a drunken experience, the brother-in-law successfully made it ashore. With the perfect cooperation of the two brothers, working from day to night, the large pit has been almost completely covered up. The next day, the indoor windows were covered in frost. Snow covered the earth and trees. They just pulled a screw in unexpectedly. However, the beautiful scenery bestowed by nature, making screws work, is also fun. Fortunately, the fireplace had been set up in advance. Let this winter no longer be cold. Taking advantage of this time, he filled the gap in the doorway. I used Gwent cotton to block the airflow again. Make sure there are no gaps. As night fell, it's time to cook. Then, the screw took out tonight's meal. To say that the screw body is good, a balanced diet of meat and vegetables is essential. Put the canned onions, potatoes, and meat into the pot and let it simmer. Another cup of King Huo, the source of life. The indoor temperature is now 30 degrees Celsius. In the sky pavilion that I built myself. Enjoying delicious food. How wonderful it is to live a life with snot running down your face. It was still snowing heavily outside. Screws conveniently add a wage to the heated brick bed. She fell peacefully asleep in the warmth of the fireplace.